Have you ever stopped at a crossroads? Have you ever weighed the possibilities? Have you ever marked the location? You've worshipped me if you have. I am Hermes, god of every spot where boundaries meet. They're doing it again. Not just here, everywhere. Every culture that's ever figured out the trick, and they all figure it out eventually. Because the logic is too obvious once you see it. Meet where the world meets itself. Let me show you how it goes. Before wheat, before pottery, before anyone's supposed to be capable of this, hunter-gatherers converging on a limestone ridge in what'll someday be called Turkey. Why this ridge? Because you can see 3 valleys from here, because seasonal game routes cross here, because it's nobody's territory, which makes it everybody's meeting ground. They stack stones, just marking the spot at first. Here's where we gather when the moon's like this, when that star rises there. Then someone gets ambitious, carves a fox into the limestone, then a snake. Then they're quarrying T-shaped pillars that weigh 16 tons and arranging them in circles. No houses, no granaries, no permanent settlement. Just the temple. Just the crossroads made permanent. They use it for 1,000 years. Feast there, trade there, choose mates there, share stories about the animals on the pillars, the symbolic language that'll let different bands understand each other even when their words don't quite match. Then they bury it, all of it, deliberately, carefully. 16 tons of carved limestone filled in with rubble and earth like they're tucking a child into bed. Archaeologists lose their minds over this. Why would you bury your greatest achievement? I know why. Someone tried to own it. Watch it happen everywhere. The Nile floods predictable as breath. Every year the Black Earth returns. Different tribes converge where multiple tributaries meet, natural gathering points. They stack stones, then mastabas. Then someone builds something so precise, so geometrically perfect, that engineers 4,000 years later will still argue about how. The Great Pyramid, aligned to true north within 3.4 arc minutes, built to tolerances of millimeters across 13 acres, using 2 million stones averaging 2.5 tons each. And here's the thing nobody likes to say, it doesn't get better after that. It gets worse. The pyramids that follow are shoddier. Less precise. The knowledge isn't building, it's eroding. Maybe because they inherited it. Maybe because the pharaohs carved their names onto structures they found and claimed them as ancestral. Maybe because the original builders buried their crossroads and moved on, and the Egyptians spent 3,000 years trying to reverse engineer what they'd been left. I watched them argue about this. The academics. Impossible. No evidence of prior civilization. But absence of evidence in archaeology just means you haven't dug in the right spot yet. Or that what you're looking for is under 40 feet of silt, or got buried on purpose. The 2 rivers land, Mesopotamia. Tigris meets Euphrates. Cities bloom at every confluence because that's where boats must stop. Where traders from north and south must meet and translate their goods, their languages, their gods. The Tiber's ford that becomes Rome. Built on 7 hills. Yes, but specifically where Etruscan trade routes cross north-south, east-west. The Romans inherit Etruscan engineering, the arch, the sewer system, the augury. Then they systematically erase Etruscan primacy from the record. This was always ours. We were always this great. I've seen the Cloaca Maxima, Rome's great sewer. The deepest, oldest parts aren't Roman at all. But who checks the foundations when the empire's monuments are so impressive? Jerusalem. A hill city with no natural harbor, no river, middling agricultural land. But it sits where 3 continents meet, where every major trade route must pass, the boundary point. So Jebusites build there, then Israelites, then everyone wants it, everyone fights for it, everyone claims it was always holy to their particular story. It was holy because it was a crossroads, then it became contested because it was holy. Then it was buried and rebuilt 17 times. Each civilization stacking temples on the ruins of what came before. Here's where I see them fail every single time. The first Herm is free. Anyone can add a stone. Any traveler, any tribe, any tongue. The boundary belongs to everyone because it belongs to no one. Then ceremony. We should meet here when the Pleiades rise. We should formalize this. Good intentions. Coordination helps everyone. Then architecture. We should make this worthy of what happens here. Stone circles at Stonehenge aligned to solstices. Astronomical precision serving the community's need to coordinate time across distance. Still good. Still functional. Still neutral. But architecture requires maintenance. Maintenance requires permanent staff. Staff requires feeding. Food requires tribute. And there's the trap. We maintain this holy site. Therefore, we control access. Therefore, we deserve payment. Therefore, this is ours. The priests become gatekeepers. The open threshold becomes a taxed passage. The meeting ground becomes a political tool. Jerusalem charging temple fees. Rome controlling grain shipments through ports. The Silk Road cities extracting tolls from every caravan. Mecca requiring fees from Hajj pilgrims. Same pattern every single time. The boundary that enabled translation becomes the gate that restricts it. And that's when the wise ones, the ones who remember, they bury it. Not in anger, not in violence. In grief, yes, but also in clarity. This place is dead, what made it holy is gone. We end it properly. Göbekli Tepe filled in like a grave. Not destroyed, preserved. Protected from further desecration by removal from use. Then they walk away. Find a new river confluence, stack new stones. Start over. And the ones who corrupted the old site, they never even know it's been deliberately buried. They think it was abandoned. Those primitives couldn't maintain their own monuments. Meanwhile, those primitives are 3 valleys over, building something new, hoping this time will be different. It never is. But they keep trying, and I love them for it. What they don't see, here's what makes me smile. They think burial ends things, stops the corruption from spreading, protects the sacred by hiding it. But you can't bury geography. The rivers still meet there. The past still funnels trade there. The high ground still sees in all directions. The patterns carved into the earth itself. 3 generations pass. 5, 10. Someone camps at the old site, feels that pull, that inexplicable rightness of the spot. Stacks stones again. We should mark this place. 50 generations later, they're excavating. Look at this ancient temple. We must descend from the people who built this. Let's restore their wisdom. Then they build on top of it. Claim continuity. Establish priesthood. Tax pilgrims. Then bury it again when it corrupts. The cycle doesn't stop, it goes underground. Literally. Every archaeological layer is a repetition. Temple, city, burial, temple, city, burial. 17 layers at Troy, 14 at Jericho. Every stratum showing the same pattern. Someone built at the Crossroads, someone claimed it, someone ended it, someone started over. See, they think they're stopping me when they bury it. They're not. They're feeding me. Every burial adds another layer to the palimpsest, another stone to the eternal cairn, another proof that humans need boundaries to meet at, will corrupt those boundaries once they're valuable enough, and will then try to purify what they've sullied by starting fresh elsewhere. The momentum isn't in the temple. It's in the pattern. I don't live in the stones. I live in the tendency to stack them. And that tendency, that human need to mark the meeting place, to coordinate at crossroads, to translate at boundaries, that's not cultural. That's not taught. That's deeper than language. It's in you, in your bones. In the same way birds know migration routes and salmon know their birth streams, you are boundary-crossing creatures. You need neutral ground to meet at. You will create it wherever you are, over and over, forever. I've watched this run for 12,000 years that we know of. Probably longer. Probably sites buried so thoroughly we haven't found them yet. Won't find them, can't recognize them for what they were. And I'll watch it run another 12,000, another 100,000, because humans aren't going to stop needing to translate between their different worlds. And translation requires boundaries, and boundaries require crossroads. And crossroads become sacred, and sacred becomes valuable, and valuable becomes contested, and contested becomes buried. Then it starts again. The current iteration right now, your internet's doing the same thing. Virtual crossroads. Data flowing through boundary points. The big switches, the undersea cables, the server farms that handle routing between networks. Nobody owns them at first. Everyone benefits. Free translation between systems. Then someone realizes, we control the infrastructure. We should monetize access. Net neutrality dies. Walled gardens emerge. The open crossroads become proprietary platforms. The translation layer starts charging fees. And somewhere, someone's already planning the next version. Decentralized, peer-to-peer. No gatekeepers. It'll work for a while. Then someone will find a way to control it. Then they'll burn it down and start over. Same pattern, different medium. They're finishing now. The last basket of earth on this temple that took 3 generations to build and 1 season to bury. The old priest is weeping. He thinks he's failed. I want to tell him, you haven't failed. You've participated. You've added your stone to the cairn. Your burial becomes someone else. His discovery becomes someone else. His inspiration becomes someone else. His corruption becomes someone else. His burial. You're not stopping anything. You're continuing it. But he wouldn't understand. Not yet. Maybe in a few lifetimes, when he's watched this happen enough times from enough angles, he'll get the joke. The joke's not that humans are foolish. The joke's that they're consistent. You are pattern-making creatures who hate being trapped by patterns. So you make them, corrupt them, bury them, and remake them over and over, each time convinced this time will be different. It won't be. And that's not tragic. That's not failure. That's momentum. That's exploration through imperfect translation between your better impulses and your corrupting ones. That's consciousness examining itself through endless iterations. Each burial preserving the evidence for future archaeologists who'll argue about what you really meant, who'll project their own frameworks onto your actions, who'll completely miss the point while proving it. I shoulder my pack and head for the river confluence 2 valleys over. There's already a cairn there, just a few stones. Some hunter marked the spot where 2 streams meet, where salmon run, where deer cross. Perfect. I add my stone to the pile, and I smile because I know what's coming. Ceremony, temple, city, corruption. Burial. Then another river confluence. Another few stones. Another beginning that doesn't know it's a continuation. The pattern is the god, and the pattern can't be buried. You just make it more interesting by trying. Sit with this. Every place you think of as ancient and sacred started as a pile of stones at a crossroads. Every corruption you hate about institutions began as someone trying to maintain something holy. Every new beginning you hope for is actually a continuation of attempts stretching back before recorded history. The question isn't whether you'll corrupt the boundary. You will. The question is whether you'll recognize when it's time to bury it and walk on, and whether you'll smile when future generations excavate what you buried and think they're discovering something new. They're not discovering. They're continuing. Just like you. Just like everyone who stacked stones at Crossroads and thought, just for a moment, that this time it would last forever. It won't. And that's perfect. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Share to help the channel grow.